Hi. So I'm going to be teaching data visualization for a full semester. I am super excited. I have wanted to teach a full course on data visualization for years now. I am very passionate about it. I love, you know, conveying information with visualizations. I do it all the time in my work as a data scientist. I'm pumped up and excited to be able to teach this upcoming semester. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to start putting out videos and I'm going to focus on the online textbook on ggplot by Hadley Wickham and these two right here. There are previous editions of the textbook through Springer Text. First edition, second edition are currently available through Springer Link, which UCF students can download for free through the library. But I'm going to be using the online version because it's the most recent, most up-to-date one. All right, so here is the site for the textbook. And here is the GitHub. So if you want to go and get the actual source where I got the original code that's on the screen right now. Now I'm modifying this because I want to explain some things further, maybe remove some things, because these are for class lecture notes, a different use case than a textbook. All right, so let's start getting into it. Whenever I start an R project, I make sure I have no junk in my workspace set up so that I avoid scientific notation and don't get too many digits printed out. I use piping all the time at work, and I always load the ggplot2 package. ggplot1, ggplot original had a very short lifespan as a package. Hadley realized that there was better ways to go about than how he initially set things up, so he made ggplot2. So just be mindful of that when you need the ggplot function, you need to use the ggplot2 package. And as always, know where you are. I always want to know what is my working directory whenever I start a project. I do this, whether it's Python, with Python I use OS, in R, whatever it is I'm working on, I need to know where I'm at. All right, so let's get into the actual introduction from the textbook. All right, so ggplot2 is an R package for producing statistical or data graphics. ggplot2 has an underlying grammar based on the grammar of graphics that allows you to compose graphs by combining independent components. And this grammar of graphics is super powerful because it sets up like a mathematical framework for mapping like what our data to images that we actually see, like a proper mathematical mapping. Rather than being limited to a set of predefined graphs, you can create novel graphs that are tailored to your specific problem. There's a lot of flexibility in ggplot. ggplot2 provides beautiful, hassle-free plots that take care of fiddly details like drawing legends, for example. Carefully chosen defaults means that you can produce publication quality graphics in seconds. All right, so one thing I'm going to disagree with on this is that the default theme has like a gray background, and I've had stakeholders not like that. So I recommend that you change the theme from the background, which I will show in upcoming videos. But it's overall, overwhelmingly, I feel like the default values are definitely good, solid initial choices. If you do have special formatting requirements, it's pretty easy to change the themes. I personally like to use theme underscore BW, the black and white theme. To me, it looks very well. It looks very good for sharing out with stakeholders, for publications, for converting to a PNG, whatever it is, that one works very well, and I like it. I've never had problems with stakeholders with that. There are themes that will not look good when you do PNGs, by the way, enabling you to focus on creating the graph that best reveals the message in your data. All right, so ggplot2 is designed to work iteratively. You start with a layer that shows the raw data, then you add layers of annotations and statistical summaries. This allows you to produce graphics using the same structured thinking that you would use in design of analysis. This also reduces the distance between the plot in your head and the one on the page. This is especially helpful for students who have not yet developed the structured approach to analysis used by experts. Learning the grammar of graphics will, one, help you create graphics that you're familiar with and help you create newer, better graphics. Without the grammar of graphics, there is no underlying theory. So most graphics packages are just a bunch of special cases, which is one of my major complaints of matplotlib, that there's just a lot of things you just have to memorize. There isn't a real consistent structure like you have with ggplot. With ggplot, you figure it out in one spot, it applies to all other types of plots that would use that aspect also. For example, in base R, if you design a new graphic, it's composed of raw plot elements like lines and points, so it's hard to design new components that combine with existing plots. In ggplot2, the expressions used to create new graphics are composed of higher level elements like representations of raw data and statistical transformations that can easily be combined with new data sets and other plots. ggplot is useful even when you don't understand the underlying model. So if you just run through and practice over and over, copy and paste other people's code, you still get good graphics, even if you don't know the grammar of graphics. And an advantage that ggplot2 has over other visualization systems is that it actually makes it pretty easy to modify and tinker with aspects of your plot. And I won't really show that here, but I can come up with like a base graph that, okay, I like what I have here in my base graph. Now I'm going to modify that. And then I'm going to modify it in a different way. I don't have to change that base graph. I can just take the base graph, do plus whatever I want to modify, and work through it until I find the plot that I want to finally use. All right, so what is the grammar of graphics? Well, Wilkinson in 2006 created the grammar of graphics to describe the fundamental features that underline all statistical graphics. The grammar of graphics is an answer to the question of what is a statistical graphic. ggplot2 builds on the grammar of graphics by focusing on the primary layers and adapting it for use in R. The grammar of graphics tells us that a graphic maps the data to the aesthetic attributes that could be color or shape or size of geometric objects such as points, lines, and bars. The plot may also include statistical transformations of the data and information about the plot's coordinate system. Faceting can be used to plot subplots for different subsets of the data. The combination of these independent components are what makes up a graphic. All right, so all plots are composed of one, data, the information that I want to visualize, and two, a mapping that describes how the data's variables are mapped to the aesthetic attributes, which results in what I see when I look at the visualization. There are 5 mapping components: the layer, the scale, the coordinate system, the facet, that means subplots, and the theme. Understanding how scales work is crucial for fine-tuning the perceptual properties of your plot. Customizing scales gives fine control over the exact appearance of the plot and helps to support the story that you are telling. Coordinate systems and faceting control the position of elements of the plot. Faceting is a very powerful graphical tool as it allows you to rapidly compare different subsets of your data. Different coordinate systems are less commonly needed, but are very important for certain types of data. A layer is a collection of geometric elements and statistical transformations. Geometric elements, geomes for short, represent what you actually see in the plot. that is points, lines, polygons, etc. Statistical transformations, called stat for short, summarize the data, for example, binning and counting observations to create a histogram or a fitted linear model. Scales map values to the data space, to values in the aesthetic space. This includes the use of color, shape, and size. Scales also draw the legend and axes, which make it possible to read the original data value from the plots. And so this enables us to have an inverse to the mapping that we're looking at. A coord, or a coordinate system, describes how data coordinates are mapped to the plane on the graphic. It also provides axes and grid lines to help us read the graph. We normally use the Cartesian coordinate system, but a number of others are available, including polar coordinates and map projections. A faucet specifies how to break up and display subsets of data as small multiples. This is also known as conditioning or latticing or trellising. A theme controls the finer points of display, like the font size, background color, etc. While the defaults in ggplot2 have been chosen with care, you may need to consult other references to create an attractive plot. Now, what doesn't the grammar of graphics do for us? First of all, it doesn't suggest which graphic to use. I have to know that as a subject matter expert in data science, and it doesn't describe interactive graphics, only static ones. How does ggplot2 fit in with other R graphics? There are a number of other graphic systems available in R, such as base graphics, grid graphics, trellis, lattice graphics. How does ggplot differ from them? Well, base graphics were written by Ross Beharka based on experience implementing the S graphics driver. Base graphics has a pen and paper model. You can only draw on top of the plot. You cannot modify or delete existing content. There is no user accessible representation of the graphic apart from their appearance on the screen. Base graphics includes both tools and for drawing primitives and entire plots. Base graphics functions are generally fast, but have limited scope. If you're creating a single scatter plot, histogram, or set of box plots in the past, you've probably used base graphics. Now, grid and lattice package for visualizations have dropped out of vogue recently, but they're still available. If you look at textbooks, if you look at old help documentation, you will encounter them. They're definitely valuable. They definitely provide like good information. But ggplot2 is so powerful that grid and lattice have been overshadowed. All right, so the development of the grid graphics, which is a much richer system for graphical primitives, started in 2000. Grid is developed by Paul Morell, growing out of his PhD work. Grid grobs, as graphical objects, can be represented independently of the plot and modified layered. A system of viewpoints, each containing its own coordinate system, makes it easier to lay out complex graphics. Grid provides primitive drawings, but no tools for producing statistical graphs. The lattice package uses grid graphics to implement the trellis graphic system and is a considerable improvement over base graphics. You can easily produce conditioned plots, and some plotting details are taken care of automatically, such as the legend. However, lattice graphics lack a formal model, which can make it hard to extend the visualizations. Now, ggplot2, which started in 2005, is an attempt to take the good things about base and lattice graphics and improve upon them with a strong underlying model which supports the production of any kind of statistical graphic based on the principles outlined above. The solid underlying model of ggplot2 makes it easy to describe a wide range of graphics with a complex syntax, and independent components make extension easy. Like Lattice, ggplot2 uses grid to draw the graphics, which means you can exercise much low-level control over the appearance of the plot. Now, HTML widgets provides a common framework for accessing web visualization tools from R. Package built on top of HTML widgets includes leaflets for visualizing maps, digraph for visualizing time series, network D3 for networks, and plotly for JavaScript visualization with an R interface. Yeah, so I've used leaflet and plotly professionally. I've done a lot of work with Plotly, in fact. Plotly is a great tool if you want to make interactive graphics for HTML documents, and it comes with a ggplotly function that makes it so that we can have ggplot visualizations in our interactive dashboard. Many other R packages such as BCD, Plotrix, and gplot implement specialist graphs, but no others provide a framework for producing statistical graphics. A comprehensive list of all graphical tools available in other packages can be found in the graphics task view here on CRAN. Now, other sources to help support you as you are learning ggplot. So the best resources that I find is the help documentation. And these are automatically built in when you load the package, so it makes it nice. You can access them through a different presentation of them through the ggplot2 tidyverse page. So you have either this website or with the help documentation syntax within R, so like question marks and the function I want to use. I prefer to use the help syntax because if there's been any change in the package, like it's been updated and I want to, or there's been a lack of updates on my machine, but the package help documentation has changed. I want what's on my machine, not what's on the website. So I prefer using help documentation through R itself. If you use ggplot2, you can go ahead and sign up for the mailing list. It has, relatively speaking, low traffic and is pretty friendly to new users, which is always nice of any place to interact with on the internet. There's an active ggplot2 community on Stack Overflow, and many of your common questions have already been asked and answered, so you can get them off of Stack Overflow. Repex provides easy to share, clean, runnable, reproducible examples of R code and includes advice on creating good examples. RStudio provides some great cheat sheets. So here it's posted on the Posit webpage. And a complete source code for the book is available through Hadley's GitHub page. It contains the complete text for the textbook that I'm going to be going over. I'm going over now, as well as all the code and data needed to recreate plots. All right, so we went over the grammar of graphics real briefly, real lightly. So something I just want to reiterate. The 5 layers that we're going to be going over is like the layer, the scale, the coordinate system, the faucet, and the theme. Okay. I hope this video has helped you. Remember, life is short. Do math.